Star Trek: Strange New Worlds confirms Spock's ancestry with Sherlock Holmes creator. For decades, Star Trek fans have delighted in Spock's quiet reverence for detective logic, citing Sherlock Holmes as the fictional paragon of deduction who would have made an exemplary Starfleet officer. What few expected, however, was that Star Trek: Strange New Worlds would take that admiration a step further, turning a long-running meta joke into a clever, canon-adjacent revelation about Spock's ancestry. In a twist that perfectly merges Trek's love of literary homage with its playful approach to history, the series has confirmed something both whimsical and strangely fitting. Spock is distantly related, through Amanda Grayson's lineage, to Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, the creator of Sherlock Holmes. It's the sort of revelation that only Strange New Worlds could pull off. Bold, charming, just tongue-in-cheek enough to feel self-aware, yet sincere enough to enrich character lore that's been part of Trek's fabric for generations. And surprisingly, it works. A literary name drop that meant more than it seemed. The episode in question, playful, character-driven, and perfectly in line with the show's embrace of classical influences, opens with Uhura uncovering a forgotten Earth archive aboard a damaged civilian transport. Among the items is a handwritten essay about early detective fiction, signed by a Grayson ancestor. When Spock identifies the handwriting as belonging to Amanda's great-great-grandmother, the crew discovers something curious. The essay's author claims family correspondence with Arthur Conan Doyle himself. At first, the connection seems like a throwaway nod, another literary Easter egg, much like those scattered throughout the original series and Next Generation. But Strange New Worlds refuses to leave the idea as a simple wink. Instead, the episode treats the artifact as a key to understanding Spock's human lineage, suggesting that Amanda's family, generations prior, was part of the intellectual circles Doyle frequented. Whether they shared blood, mentorship, or extended familial ties is left ambiguous, but the implication is clear. Spock's human side is connected to the very cultural lineage that produced Sherlock Holmes. For a character who has spent his life balancing logic and emotion, this revelation feels almost poetic. Spock and Sherlock Holmes. A canon relationship decades in the making, the connection between Spock and Holmes is not new. Star Trek has been nodding toward it for over 50 years. But this is the first time the franchise has taken the extra step of tying those parallels into something close to an in-universe genealogy. The Holmes-Spock relationship has always existed on several levels. One Spock has always been Trek's Holmes. In the original series, Spock embodied cerebral detachment, incisive reasoning, and the ability to spot patterns invisible to others. Writers have long acknowledged Holmes as a partial inspiration for Spock's demeanor and narrative role. Data played Holmes, but Spock feels like him. The Next Generation famously allowed Data to embody Sherlock Holmes on the holodeck, embracing the character outright. Spock, meanwhile, never put on the deerstalker hat, but spiritually, Holmes' method has always lived in him. Spock's logical framework mirrors Holmes' deductive doctrine. Holmes often spoke of deduction as the process of eliminating the impossible to reveal the truth that remains. Spock, of course, would later immortalize this as, "When you have eliminated the impossible, whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth." It's not only a Holmes philosophy, it has become a Vulcan one. For Nicholas Meyer strengthened the bond. Director and writer Nicholas Meyer, who helmed Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan and Star Trek VI, has long been a devoted Holmes scholar. He infused Spock and Starfleet culture at large with Holmesian thinking, even giving Spock direct quotes lifted from Doyle's works. This cultural DNA, woven into decades of Trek storytelling, makes the Ancestry twist feel earned rather than fabricated. How Strange New Worlds turned the Easter egg into canon. The clever trick of Strange New Worlds is that it avoids heavy-handedness. The writers understand that Trek canon thrives on implication, not exposition dumps. Instead of declaring outright that Spock is a blood descendant of Sherlock Holmes' creator, the episode paints a picture. Amanda Grayson's great-great-grandmother corresponded frequently with Doyle, and hints at a family relation through marriage. Old letters reveal an intellectual kinship, discussions of logic, reason, and narrative craft. The implication is that this branch of the Grayson family was closely entwined with Doyle's own extended relatives or literary peers. What matters is the effect. Spock's human heritage is shown to come from a lineage steeped in analytical thinking, literary precision, and intellectual curiosity. It's subtle, it's playful, and it fits. A character moment that deepens Spock's identity. The episode uses this discovery to push Spock into a moment of introspection. Throughout Strange New Worlds, Spock has wrestled with reconciling his human intuition and Vulcan logic. Learning that his maternal line shares a philosophical kinship with one of humanity's greatest fictional minds becomes a catalyst for growth. The internal conflict. Spock wonders whether his aptitude for deductive reasoning, a trait he has always chalked up to Vulcan discipline, is influenced by his human lineage as much as his Vulcan upbringing. This sparks a quietly moving conversation between Spock and Pike. Pike, ever the emotional anchor, gently reminds Spock that identity is not a matter of isolated ancestry, but the merging of many influences. "You are not Holmes," Pike tells him, "but you are something he would have admired, a mind that seeks truth not only through logic, but through empathy." Uhura's contribution. Uhura, who initially discovered the artifact, offers an alternative interpretation. Holmes and Doyle were storytellers. Their craft relied on understanding people's motives, not merely cold logic. This resonates with Spock in a way he doesn't fully admit out loud. Why this twist fits the ethos of Strange New Worlds. Strange New Worlds has become known for its willingness to fold literary sensibilities into its episodic structure. From fairy tale adventures to courtroom dramas, the series leans into genre experimentation, and treating Spock's ancestry as a piece of literary heritage feels beautifully on brand. One, it strengthens the show's relationship to Earth history. Trek has always loved linking humanity's past to its future, whether through Mark Twain, Abraham Lincoln, or famous composers. Tying Spock's ancestry to Doyle is a modern extension of that long tradition. 2, it has the right amount of playfulness. This isn't a retcon. It's a gentle alignment, a narrative flourish that deepens lore without complicating it. 3, it reinforces S&W's character-centric focus. Every revelation serves character first. The ancestry twist isn't about Doyle, it's about Spock learning something about himself. The Holmes connection enters the crew dynamic. One of the most delightful parts of the episode is how the crew reacts to the news. M'Benga is amused. As a lover of Earth literature, M'Benga teases Spock about being descended from the patron saint of detectives. Spock raises an eyebrow, whether in pride or annoyance remains ambiguous. Lon is surprised but respectful. Given her own complicated ancestry, Lon reacts with unexpected empathy. "Family history isn't destiny," she says, "but it can be a compass." Ortegas thinks it explains everything. Erica immediately embraces the revelation, claiming, "This is why you always beat me at Cal-To. You've got that Victorian brain magic." Spock naturally denies that such a phrase has any scientific validity. Spock's final deduction. Identity is not a puzzle to solve. The emotional climax of the episode comes when Spock, after studying the preserved artifacts, concludes that ancestry, like logic, is a tool, not a verdict. He acknowledges the poetic symmetry of being connected in some small way to the creator of Earth's most celebrated,